You know, the system is just not always fair. If a compassionate release doesn't apply to Vic Orena, I don't know who it would apply to. I mean, the guy's got dementia. He doesn't even know who he is. The prison is taking care of him. He's in the prison hospital. What good does it do to anybody by keeping him in prison? Government's got to pay for him, taxpayer money. He's no good to anybody. He isn't a threat to anyone. If they let him out, he probably don't even know where he is anyway. I mean, why not give the guy a break? Send him home to die. Basically, that's what you're doing. Not going to last. He's not calling shots in the family. He's out of it. It's a compassionate release. Hey everyone, welcome to another Sit Down with Michael Franzese. Hope everybody is doing well. All is very good, blessed on this end, and as always, praise God for that. And boy, I'm just a short time away from heading over to the United Kingdom. I'm going to be gone for almost 2 months. We have 25 dates there, all over the United Kingdom, also in Ireland. And it's going to be great. Tickets are selling fast. A lot of opportunities coming my way out of the United Kingdom and out of Europe. So I'm excited about that. Thanks to all of you in the United Kingdom. We picked up a lot of subscribers. So people are enjoying the content now from across the pond. So it's really satisfying. We appreciate it very much. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. We're on a march to 1 million. We're getting there pretty quick. And it's thanks to all of you enjoying the content. We work hard to try to give you the best that we possibly could. So we appreciate if you subscribe, you get alerts, you know ahead of time what's happening. The book is doing very well on bestsellers list on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. But more satisfying to me is that the reviews we're getting, the comments we're getting, people are getting it. They're understanding what I'm trying to say, a bipartisan look at the government system and how it's operating very mob-like and what we need to do to put a stop to it. More important, we want this America to be the same America that we all loved and grew up in, and we want it to be that way in the future. And in order to do that, we got to act, people. We can't let this government get out of control. So, today, a little bit disappointed in a decision that just came down from the Second Circuit Court of Appeals in New York. That was on Vic Orena. Some of you know who Vic Orena was. He was a former maid guy, an associate of mine in the Colombo family. He was convicted in, I think, 1992 of racketeering, a number of crimes within the racketeering statute. And he was sentenced to, I think, 100 years, or life in prison, I should say, plus 85 years. How does that make sense? It doesn't. But that's the federal system. And he's been in jail now for, 25, 27 years. He's 87 years old. He's suffering from dementia. Fact, half the time he doesn't know who he is. He's got other related diseases as a result of his dementia. Really sad. And he had put in an appeal with his trial judge for a compassionate release. It was denied. They took it up to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, and the decision came down, I believe, today. That was denied also. I want to get into that a little bit and give you my thoughts on it. But before that, for those of you that don't know who Vic Orena is, let me get into that a little bit. He was a member of my family, the Colombos, and he was involved in the last Colombo War. And that was back in 1991 to 94. How did it happen? Well, Vic Orena was a soldier, and then he became a captain. And when Carmine Persico, the boss of our family, went off to prison on the commission case, he got 139 years he was serving. He made Vic Orena his acting boss. And he was acting boss until his son, my Gumbada, baptized my son, Ali Boy, got out of prison. He was doing a 12-year stint. And when Ali Boy got out of prison, then he was taking over as boss, and Vic would give it up. So that's how it went. Obviously, Persico, my boss, trusted Vic Orena. I'll be honest with you, I knew Vic a long time. He used to be very close with my father. Things kind of changed when he got into that life a little bit. I guess it does for all of us. But we weren't as close as we once were. We were closer when I was younger, I would say. And as a matter of fact, Vic at one time connected with John Gotti, and they tried to make a move on me in the gas business. They wanted something. Not going to get into all of that, but he kind of teamed up with Gotti against me. We had a sit down. I won the debate, the argument, whatever, and that never happened. But the Vic Orena, John Gotti connection or relationship was established in my mind back then. So anyway, Vic's boss and acting boss, and getting along pretty good. And then at one point in time, he decides, for whatever reason, remember, I wasn't on the street back then, but I was hearing things. He decided that he wanted to be the boss. He said Persico was stifling family's ability to earn money. I don't know how Persico was doing that. Persico was an earner, but Orena seen it that way. He also said that Persico was talking to a production company about a movie or a autobiography on his life, something like that, and he was upset with that because, if you remember, the Bonanno book that came out was the basis of Rudy Giuliani going after the entire commission. If you listen to Rudy, I had him once, so we were once on a show together, and he said that in that Bonanno book, in Joe Bonanno's book, it kind of laid out the blueprint for his going after the entire commission. So I understand where, Vic could have been a little bit upset about that. Maybe other guys were too. I don't know the exact details of what Persico was trying to do at that time. I would think that he was trying to do something to maybe help him get a break on that case. I mean, he's doing 139 years. So it was a documentary based upon things in his life. And Orena used that as a reason, along with the fact that he said Persico wasn't helping the family earn money, to go to the commission. He went to the commission and he asked the commission to take Persico out of his spot as boss and to install Vic. You don't normally do that. I mean, somebody really has to do something wrong for the commission to take a boss out of his position as boss. I've never heard of it really. Maybe one time, I think, with the Bonanno deal, but that was something else at that point in time. I mean, everybody was against him. They sent him out to Arizona, or he would have got killed for some of the things that he did. Persico's deal had nothing to do with that. But anyway, the commission refused. They said, no, we're not going to do that. If you want to do something like that, go to all your captains and take a poll and see who they want to be as boss. And then we'll revisit this and we'll talk about it then. So Vic does go to the captains, and he goes to Carmine Sessa, who was his consigliere at the time, and he says, Carmine, take a poll of all of the captains, find out if they want me as boss or they want Persico as boss. Vic didn't realize that Sessa was loyal to Persico, and he goes and tells Persico what's happening, that Vic is trying to make a move on him. Well, listen, Junior's old school, tough guy, he isn't going to listen to that. He puts a hit out immediately on Vic Orena. And they put a team together. I think it was Vic Orena. I think Greg Scarpa was involved in that, a couple other guys. And they go to put a hit on Orena outside of his house. Somehow Orena pulls up in front of his house and realizes there's a car out there with guys in there. And for some reason he suspects that it's on him. He takes off. So it doesn't happen. But what happened is that was kind of the start of the war when Vic Orena knew that. And, Greg Scarpa was working pretty well with Vic Orena for a while. So was Carmine Sessa. As a matter of fact, Vic Orena had put a hit out on a made guy by the name of Tommy Osera. Now, Tommy is somebody that I knew well. He had a catering hall out in Long Island. I knew him well. I was surprised when he got made, I'll be honest with you. I didn't think that that was something for him. But way back when, I had told this story that Tommy had come to me with a load of meat. And I had to move the meat, and I moved the meat, and I got the money, and I gave it to my captain at the time, Andrew Russo. I gave him $6,500, I think it was. He gave me back $600. It kind of taught me a lesson on what to turn in, what not to turn in, and how to turn it in. Discussed that with my father, but that's another issue. But anyhow, Tommy Osera was a made guy, and allegedly he was stealing some money. And he allowed somehow under investigation, he had books for Shylock and deal for some of the Colombo guys, and the FBI was able to confiscate that book from him. Orena was very upset. He orders a hit on Tommy Osera. Greg Scarpa gets the contract, and he strangles Tommy Osera. I mean, strangled him to death, I think, with piano wire. Scarpa was a rough guy. So Scarpa proving that he was loyal to Orena at one time. So was Carmine Sessa. But when they heard that he wants to take over for Persico, that was a different story. So now Scarpa and Carmine Sessa, they're on the Persico faction. Anyway, the family goes to war. And it was a bloody war. I got to tell you, I think 12 or 13 guys got killed. Another 18, I understand, became informants. I think 63 guys went to jail as a result of that, Vic being one of them. It was a mess. It lasted for about 3 years, and I was in the whole time it went, from 91 to 94. I was locked down, but I was getting some information. I had spoken to my father beforehand. If I was on the street, I'd have been loyal to Persico, no doubt. So that's kind of the background. So Vic gets convicted as a result of his activities during the war. He gets life sentence plus 85 years, and he's gone. So Vic has been in jail, I believe, since 1992, just about 30 years. He's got dementia. He's very sick. He's been diagnosed with dementia and other ailments from prison doctors, doctors on the street. It's a fact. Everybody knows it. 87 years old. He appeals it. Appeal gets denied at the trial court. The Second Circuit Court of Appeals, who I got to tell you, they never give a mob guy a break. Going way, way, way back when. I can't tell you how many appeals we put in front of that circuit for my father, every one of them being denied. Mob guys don't get a break on appeals. Very, very, very rare. So now Vic is going to die in jail. Absolutely going to die in jail. I mean, maybe he can take this to the Supreme Court. I doubt that they would even look at it. It's not the kind of case. It's not really a constitutional issue. You know, the system is just not always fair. If a compassionate release doesn't apply to Vic Orena, I don't know who it would apply to. I mean, the guy's got dementia. He doesn't even know who he is. The prison is taking care of him. He's in the prison hospital. What sense or what good does it do to anybody by keeping him in prison? Government's got to pay for him, taxpayer money. He's no good to anybody. He isn't a threat to anyone. If they let him out, he probably don't even know where he is anyway. I mean, why not give the guy a break? Send him home to die. Basically, that's what you're doing. Not going to last. He's not calling shots in the family. He's out of it. It's a compassionate release. Compassionate release. That's what it's all about, and that's what it's for. But I got to tell you, the system of government, you know, the whole prison system needs reform. You know, I once spoke in front of the Senate. It was an anniversary of 9/11. It was a Senate staff. Let me correct that. But some of the senators were there, and they actually listened in. And they talked to me about prison reform. They asked about it. They said, Michael, you know about prison? I said, yeah. I've either been visiting prison, in prison myself for my whole life. I said, oh, so yeah, I know a little bit about it. And what do you think? How do you think the system is? I said, well, look, every system needs reform some way, some shape, somehow. I said, but let me tell you this. You give too much time out in the federal system. There's no parole. You got to do 85% of your time, and you give too much time out for financial crimes. People get 20, 30, 40 years. In some cases, a financial crime in the federal system is more severe penalties than a violent or a murder in the state system. It doesn't make sense. And I told them, listen, when you send these criminals into prison, they're around other criminals. They get no education. There's no benefit to them. Their punishment is being in prison. But don't you think you should have some kind of program in there to help them reform so that when they get out, they don't become repeat offenders? They don't wreak havoc on their communities again? Because it becomes a revolving door. They don't learn anything in prison. They don't get a skill. The punishment sometimes, okay, but when they get out, you know, they're back on the street, they can't earn a living, and they go into doing the same things they did before. I'm not telling you to pander to criminals, but let them do something in there. Let them learn. Let them get an education. Let them learn a trade so that then when they come out, they don't wreak havoc again. They don't become repeat offenders. Let them learn something. You know, another thing that was troubling to me, the recidivism rate in the federal system, I believe, is over 50%. I've heard stats that it could be as high as 65%. That means inmates that leave the system and return for another reason, whether it's a parole violation, whether it's a probation violation, or they commit another crime. The recidivism rate is extremely high. However, Christian programs where inmates are discipled inside the prison and outside when they get out, the recidivism rate goes down to 5%. Christian programs where they're teaching these guys something. You know, they're giving them something to live for. They're giving them faith. And it sinks in. Those statistics don't lie. And yet the system quite often doesn't want, you know, Christian fellowship and Christian ministries to come into the prison. They make it difficult for them. And why would they do that? Why would anybody do that if this is helping to protect our communities later on because they don't become repeat offenders. Recidivism rate down to 5%. It's meaningful. I don't get it. Look, I can go on and on about the system. I'm not going to do that. This is about Vic Orena. I got to extend my sympathies to the family, really. They should have gotten a benefit here. They should have gotten a break. I believe Vic Orena should be home with his family and, to live out his years where they can care for him, not at the expense of the taxpayers, but they can take care of him in the house. It's compassion. That's what we're all about. We're letting the immigrants over the border, right? A lot of them are criminals. We're not sending them back. We're not locking them up. They're committing crimes over here. Why not give a guy that's gravely ill and has done 30 years in prison a break to go home and die at one point in time with his family? I don't get it. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. I know some of you are going to come back hard. Oh, Michael, you're soft on crime. No, I'm not. I'm not, how could I put it? I'm not being sympathetic to the mob life. I don't glorify that life. We've been down that road. I've said it many times. I've even called it an evil life because of how detrimental it is and damaging to families of members of that life. I've said that. So this is not about glorifying the life or going soft on organized crime people. It's not. It's about compassion. We are a compassionate nation. This man is not a threat to anyone anymore. He's paid his dues to society. He's been in prison for 30 years, and now he's gravely ill. Send him home. Give his family a break also. It's the compassionate thing to do. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it. I'd love to hear your comments. I know some of you are going to come down hard. Others of you, I think, will agree with me at this point in time. So that's it for today, my friends. How do I always leave you? Same way. Be safe. I live in a fairly affluent neighborhood, and I got to tell you, these people are now coming into parking lots here in our neighborhood and stalking people that are wearing expensive jewelry, women that are carrying nice purses around. We've already had one incident in a major shopping center down here. Women, I'm telling you, you have to be careful. I tell my daughters, my wife, always be observant of your surroundings. When you walk into a parking lot, know who's there. If you have pepper spray, it's a good idea to keep it. Put it in your purse. Something happens, at least you got a little prepared. You're a little, better position to defend yourself. Be healthy. Goes without saying. Fortunately, the whole COVID thing seems to have subsided. Hopefully, they're not going to try to scare us into some other thing happening at this point. Monkeypox, I think, but nobody's getting paranoid over that at this point in time. So be safe, be healthy, and yes, I sincerely mean this. God bless you all, and I mean that sincerely from the bottom of my heart. I hope all of you, experience the grace and mercy of God. And I'll see you next time. Take care.